Well, hello everyone. Hi, welcome. Happy Thursday, a little later than usual. And thank you for the hype train, which is already well underway. I appreciate it very much. Welcome to another little stream, probably a shorter one. I wanted to stream something since I hadn't on Tuesday and was starting. I needed to do some recording for an upcoming New Frame Plus video first before streaming, so my voice was still somewhat fresh. Because if I try doing it after a stream, it's gonna be real rough. And I still need footage of the game that video's about, or I could use some more from further in the game if possible. So I figured, you know what? This is efficient. We'll just do this. Pokemon next time. But welcome all of you, and I hope you're having a fine day. Thank you for the 11 months, Lord Zine. Hello to you, too. Thank you for the 11 months, Mahuru. So close to a year. And all of it, like, this channel, very close to 2 years now. Very close. Thank you for the 2 months, Phoenixian Crystalist. And thank you for the 12 months, Heart of K9. A whole year for you. Congrats, and thank you. 19 months for day, as in day. 19 months is not a particularly remarkable number, you say, but I'm gonna call it out anyway. As well you should, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Very grateful to the lot of you. A good bunch of folks. Just catching up on chat here. Yeah, sorry for not Pokemon today, but Heart of K9, thank you very, very much for the 5 gifted subs. I'm very grateful, and I'm sure those 5 folks are as well. Enjoy the emotes. What do I mean? This channel has been around for nearly 2 years. That can't be right. I know it doesn't feel correct to me, too. I've seen enough of these notifications popping up saying someone has resubscribed for 20 plus months, 23 months tops so far. And it's a regular reminder that, yeah, no, apparently. Twitch is keeping track, at least. And it sure is pretty darn close to 2 years now. Been catching up on the Pokemon streams, very far behind. Glad to finally catch something on the purple site. You're welcome. I'm glad you could catch it as well. And thank you for the 23 months. There it is. See, exactly. 23 months. Thank you, Blind Play, for subscribing for 23 dang months. Soon to be 2 purple website years. Weird as that feels. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I could use footage from, well, I don't need it, but it would be nice to have footage from a little further in to Zenless Zone Zero. Just for B-roll stuff, if nothing else, and variety. It's nice having variety to choose from when selecting, or when editing videos of this sort. So the more I can manage to get, the better. Have I considered the game about exercise as conflict resolution? It's great, everything just works out. Okay, I see. I caught it this time. The puns were going over my head last stream, but this time I caught it just in time. Do you think I'd be better about it now? I guess I'm slowly getting better. It's pretty good. I was making chocolate milk art. I've said this earlier. Dan, you're the first person who didn't have to restart saying my name 3 times. Hey, I'm glad. Listen, usually I am that person. So I'm glad that I got it. Well, hopefully I got it sort of right. I do my best. And thank you for the 7 months, Mr. Aronax. I'm grateful. Let's get in let's get in to this. I did say the name right. Huzzah! Welcome back to Zenless Zone Zero. We streamed a little bit of this a couple weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. I forget how long now. Time is difficult. But it is, for the new folks, it is the newest game from MiHoYo, the folks who made Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. It is more of an action title with kind of more of a modern day, like street fashion Persona vibe, a little Splatoon vibe in there. Still very much a gacha game with gacha mechanics, though. So I guess fair warning, if you're the sort who struggles with like compulsion and like gacha games and gacha game mechanics, and spectating that is going to be challenging for you, then feel free to sit this out. Not meaning to make anyone's lives harder here, but there are definitely a lot of cool aspects about it, though. And I think the like combat gameplay animation is very, very, very good. Hey, thanks for the 5 months, Fry Phoenix. 5 in a row and 8 total. Good evening from Norway. Yo, hope all is well. Bohio Dino Dance. I don't know what Bohio means, but actually I think it's like MiHoYo has kind of like rebranded their game stuff in the West, at least, as like Hoyoverse. Is that what that's short for? Kind of abbreviating? I'm kind of playing catch up. I really did not play much Genshin Impact at all. Been trying to catch up a little bit on that too, just so I'm aware of what's going on. Baha Bali, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. And welcome. God, thank you for joining, but also for looking after yourself. Toaster, yeah, definitely duck out if gacha is a challenge for you. It is okay. They're designed to be, or I was going to say for better or worse, but it's for worse. It's kind of an inherently evil structure. Anyway, let's see. So where am I? I have the game campaign, as it currently exists, last I checked, has 3 acts in it with kind of like little interstitial chapters in between. I am through 2 of those acts, partway through the interstitial for Act 3, I think. Although I have an urgent commission, so maybe this is the start of Act 3. That might literally be what this is. The Bang Boos have play frame energy. They definitely do, like, we are all about cute. Cute with, like, a little dash of chaos in there, and they certainly do bring that. There's a lot, like, again, I'm not a fan of, like, gacha games of this sort. I think any one of these games, there's, like, a better version of this game, and any game like this, that, like, buried in here, that could be a much better kind of game if so much of it was not being engineered in service of sort of the gacha machine that the game is trying to be at large. But there are a lot of very good components and elements and aspects of this game that are great. Really pretty art, really fun music. Lots to enjoy. Now, am I actually progressing here? We'll find out. Story commission? Yes, maybe. Okay, ranking up. This is what I need to do to be able to get to the next act, I think. I don't know if there's any, I can't remember if there's actual story in the rank up stuff or if it's just a combat challenge, but we'll see. This is the team I've largely been using, just entirely like free-to-play characters that they give you from the very start. I have gotten access to a fair number more, but these are definitely the strongest and the bunch that are going to see me through a lot of this later game stuff, I think. Let us begin. So yep, just a series of combat stuff to get through as quickly as we are able. But yeah, if you've not seen this game before, the combat animation is the highlight. It looks real darn good. I think it's miHoYo's best work on that front, easily. The game is overloaded with style.
Preparing takedown.
And there is a lot of depth to this combat system as well that is kind of beyond me in terms of like strategizing of team comps and when and how to most effectively use each character and coordinate their different strengths. Like, I am still very novice level on that, but I know enough to kind of spam and react to my opponents enough to get through.
My turn.
There's a lot of depth in here. More than I am capable of like really taking advantage of. I think you need to be sort of like a Devil May Cry fighting game type person to really fully tap in to all the capabilities these characters can do.
Eliminating target.
It's a flashy looking game though. Like I have no notes about the animation of any of this combat stuff. It is all so cool looking. And cool feeling too. Like it probably looks really chaotic if you are not the one playing, but I do actually like feel fully in control of what's happening here and am reacting to stuff on screen. Like the clarity is there if you're playing. Like perfect timing dodges in reaction to enemy attacks like that. You can perfect time dodge or character swap in those moments for like a special attack. Not when it's a red flash, only when it's a yellow one. Come on, give me a yellow. Fine, I'm doing it myself. Ow. Ow. You're always wondering how these games handle cloth. Baked physics, actual sim, or hand animated. Any thoughts? I think a mix. I think it is a mix here. And in Genshin as well. There's definitely some hand-animated elements that would not look nearly as polished or nice if they were fully physics-driven. But there is a fair amount of like jiggle or sway or clothing kind of overlap that'll happen with their movements that is tightly constrained, but in terms of like how far it will move, so it never gets too off-model looking or weird or broken, but it is being driven in real time, I think.
Billy, go do some repairs. Neutralize.
The enemies being really bullet spongy detracts from how much impact the attacks look like they should have. I do feel like the characters are the enemies are too bullet spongy. It's like, on the one hand, I get a lot about like it is rewarding kind of a perfect execution and really effective use of all of your abilities. Like, if I was better at this game in terms of knowing how to like strategically use the resources available to me and build a good team and also just level up characters a whole lot by grinding a ton or paying money a ton, we could probably be burning through a lot of these a lot faster. I do feel like the average length of combat could stand to be shorter, though. These are kind of like mini-boss level enemies, so it makes sense they're taking a little longer, but
Want a bonus for this?
they're pretty chunky.
At your command.
I really love the character switching combo stuff. It is so fancy looking and cool.
Starlight, shine bright. Isn't it over?
Ow. Stop having all the health in the world. They really are chunky. But then again, someone who's like
Never lose sight of their target.
Preparing
high level player of this, I think would have churned through this in half the time. Just from knowing how to use the different abilities and synergies between characters and
Stay on guard.
stunning the opponent, comboing up on different debuff status effects you build up on them with each character.
Get away from me!
There's almost too much, well, maybe it's not that there's too much depth to the combat. I think it might just be that there's a lot of systems that are like reading descriptions of like gear or characters, the way things work together is very text dense in a way that's kind of hard to parse.
We'll never back down.
Just doing some regular. So for those of you who have not played a game of this sort, this or Genshin, or I also assume Honkai Star Rail, I only played like a few hours of that one to get a sense for it. There's a lot of grind to the kind of structure of these. They're the sort of game that you're meant to pop into, like if you're really wanting to progress and acquire a lot, like grow strong without spending money, you need to just kind of be popping in daily and doing kind of like an MMO dailies kind of thing of doing regular stuff as much as the game will allow you to try to kind of build up resources to power your characters up. So there's a whole lot of little systems and things that you can be checking in on and daily doing to try to power yourself up as quickly and efficiently as possible. I don't love it. It's one of the several ways that it feels like this game is. I understand why it's that way. It's why the game is no doubt making them lots of money. But I wish it were not that way, because it would be a better game otherwise. Oh, is Twitch being a butt? I'm sorry, everyone. Can anyone see and hear me still? Or is this for everybody? Solved itself now? Okay, all right, you can see and hear me now. Good. Sorry, there was a little hiccup there. If anyone's not seeing or hearing me in chat, refreshing usually fixes that sort of thing. But good, glad it fixed itself. Also, goodness, more of you are like subscribing and such, and I should be thanking you. Thank you for the 18 months, Lizzie T. Pow. Long reign chaos indeed. And thank you for the 6 months, Sammy. 8 total, 6 in a row. And thank you for the 7 months, Shiki. There's so much grind in these games. You got to keep people playing. World of Warcraft taught them well. Yeah, no, there's like, so before like progressing, there is so much cool about this game that I wish it was all pulled together in a non-gacha type thing, because all of the elements that are cool are heavily compromised by having to be kind of contorted to serve the compulsion engine that is a gacha game structure of dozens of currencies and resources for powering yourself up, each of which is in place to exist as a potential bottleneck that might catch you, that your impatience or frustration might compel you to spend money to overcome. The way that it is set up to be a thing that incentivizes, if not throwing money at, popping in every day to grind on a little bit in a way that is less fun than like, it takes fun mechanics and makes them less fun because it turns them into chores if you want to like thrive and get all the unlock the characters and make them all powerful and stuff. Like it is tons of compromises to, it is tons of game design engineered for compelling people to open wallets rather than engineered toward building like a fun experience. I am not the sort who has a problem with like. There are so many monetization structures for video games that are not the standard spend $60 or whatever, have the game forever, that I am on board with. Like, I think you can do free to play and DLC and microtransactions and battle passes and even loot boxes. I think there are ways you can do any one of those things that are like not overboard, that do not make the game worse, that make for a fun experience, that also allow you to like finance the game and earn a profit. Like, there's ways to do it. But this, like, this and Genshin Impact and a lot of other games of this sort are very much engineered this way for like full profit motive. And it's like, they're made worse games in order to become more profitable ones, which it's kind of frustrating that is, it's kind of frustrating that works. But, especially when you see so much cool stuff in the game that you would like, boy, I'd love this to be in a better game. Or I'd love a better version of what this game is. Like, I do not hold it against the developers making the game, especially on a big project like this, and this is a big AAA project. None of the individual developers, or like very few of the individual developers, are in any power whatsoever to make choices about the kind of game they are hired and paid to make. They are responsible for their individual parts, and they're doing a great job on a lot of those individual parts. I'm just sort of lamenting that I can't really enjoy this game a lot more than I am. I want to. It's a bit of a shame. Anyhow, progression. That was the thing we were doing. Yes, footage for a thing indeed. If my voice sounds tired, it's because I started the stream later today because I needed to record audio for the next New Frame Plus, and I need to record more because by the end of the recording, my voice was sounding a little raspy. That's fine. That's how it usually goes. How goes? How are we doing? Is it story time again? It might actually be.
So, for the monster in the square, you're really saying
It's probably a little quiet. Let me turn it up for y'all.
take over the remaining investigation?
Absolutely. We heard it firsthand together with the Bellabog Industries people. The monster's remains will still be collected by public security, of course, but the automated evidence carrier will bring the remains to hand once it passes through the hollow.
Yeah, I get it. Hand is better than public security at investigating this kind of weird stuff. They've always had a pretty delicate relationship. That PubSec officer seems decent, though.
Yes, very
Willing to
active
put all
hair.
that aside and hand over the case. Oh, it's getting late. I can't stay in chat. I have a client.
I won't get into it too much just because I don't want to spoil the episode. The video is definitely about... I feel like this game is a great opportunity to try to explain what over-animation is.
See you soon. Hey, Belle.
I don't know how well it's going to be received.
Was that Nicole on the phone just now?
Yes. Nicole thought we might be related to what happened in the square.
Most all the discussion of this game's animation I've seen has been sort of overflowing praise, which I get because there are a lot of good things about it.
Kaleida also called earlier to say public security confirmed the time to collect the monster's remains.
Finally.
We'll see.
I hope the collection goes smoothly.
Fingers crossed. Anyway, whether it's the investigation or the search for
Like, I'm
Kaleida,
never going in
all we
making
can
a
do
New
now
Frame
is
Plus
stay
video
curious.
with the intent to like
Since there's not much
go in
going
and hate on a thing
why
or
don't we head
dunk
over to the
on a
public
thing. Like, it's
security
always,
office
I'm
sometime
always
in the
trying
next
to make it
couple days?
constructive criticism.
The public security office? Why are we
I could
going
still see
there?
this one being a little
I
contentious
really
though.
don't remember. Our driver's licenses are about to expire.
Master, I've applied for a driver's license renewal for you and second assistant on the public.
This is the
security
AI who took
official
over our
website.
computer and
But unfortunately,
helps us out.
the
Don't worry
collection
about
of
it.
The new licenses must be done in person.
Let's visit the office in Lumina Square to get our new licenses soon then. The metro to Lumina Square is always packed. We'd better drive there.
Hey, I think we're actually about to start. Yay, Act 3 is going to begin. Hooray. It's good. I need more cutscene and cinematic footage especially. I found that there's some... It's annoying really only for me just because I'm footage capturing. I found that playing this on PS5 results in some stutter during cinematics. Minorly annoying for footage reasons, but it's fine. Oh, you're right. This is just this is not Act 3. This is sort of like the interlude chapter starting. Right you are. I do like that. So, like, they've got this whole gacha engine built trying to get you to, like, throw a lot of money in the machine to see if you can get the characters you like. I do like that a lot of the characters do all appear throughout the campaign, and you can play as them in the campaign too. Like, you can only use them in those specific, like, chapters and fights and areas where they are story relevant, but you do get to actually, like, see all of them. It's just you can't go and use them for other random fights elsewhere. You can't, like, put them in your custom team and level them up and grow them and all that until you've actually unlocked them. Which I, especially as one who is recording footage and loves having a variety of characters in there, just for variety, I appreciate that very much. This is a new area I've never been before. Neat. Yay, footage variety. Ah, I see. Some of y'all as cops. Any plan to check out how Genshin has changed when the new area comes out? I think if I were going to talk about Genshin Impact to any sort of amount of detail, I've got a lot of catching up to do. I do want to play through Genshin, like, on my own time to try to see, like, it feels like a big blind spot that I've not been looking closely at enough. And, like, I know how the animation looks in the beginning of the game, but the stuff that they're releasing these days is obviously, like, is much newer. There's been a lot of improvements that even I can tell from the outside in their animation and presentation stuff since the game launched originally, and I want to see all that. It does mean I need to, like, play. Which is pretty daunting. Yeah, it's not a high priority for me, but I would like the ability to talk about it in future, which means that, kind of like Pokemon, I need to put in a little bit of the time actually playing it and seeing it and getting footage along the way. I do get it. Like, I think MiHoYo generally, like, it's hard to think of a lot of other studios that are nailing the 3D anime aesthetic as well as they do, like, making it look this appealing. Their characters look really good. Just in terms of, like, model shading, stuff like that, they do a really good job. Better than most, I think. Have I unlocked the Bangbu shop and shown the different Bangbus in the game? Yes, I have unlocked that shop. I think that happens maybe in the interlude between chapters, or acts 1 and 2.
We're almost there.
I have done that.
Security building is just a few
Yeah, we can stop by that
meters
shop later.
away. Hang in there.
This is exhausting.
A friend of yours worked on the
It's
Blob
been
2 and was
so
always so
long
impressed
since we've
but
taken the car
what he
out
was about
naturally.
by what he was
There's no
able to do with such
parking.
limited characters. So even though I haven't played it, his reel stuck in my mind. Man, the Blob 2 is great.
Sorry.
Tell
it's
your
my
friend
bad.
I like the game they
I
worked
forgot
on.
to check if there was parking before we left.
I missed the
Oh,
Blob.
You haven't been exercising much lately, have you?
Their
Consider
cutscene
this
animation
a
was really
workout
fun.
session.
Says who? I get plenty of exercise. Like running around in Eos's body in the hollow.
Arc System Works is still better at the 3D anime.
Okay,
That
okay.
I do agree.
Keyword.
Like, I think they're doing
Don't
the
say
goals are
yes,
very
I'll never
different
hear
here.
the end of
Like,
it.
Arc System Works
Didn't you say
does
you wanted to go out for
3D
a
anime
nice meal a few
aesthetic
days ago?
that is still
Well,
imitating
how
the
about
look
we
of
eat somewhere
2D
around here
and
once
kind
we're
of
done with
tricking your
public
eyes in that
security?
way, and nobody's better than them at that. No, like, no one's even
Really?
trying.
I'm gonna start looking
And just as well, I don't think anyone
No
could succeed.
buffets.
Like, they're not trying to do that here. This is very much more these are clearly 3D characters. But they do a good job of, like, making that look appealing.
What's wrong, Belle?
Over-animated, though. On the cinematic side.
It's broken.
Are you all right? Are you hurt?
Belle! Belle! Are you okay? Are you injured?
I'm okay.
I could have been isekai'd and you ruined it.
Have we?
Sorry. I think we've mistaken.
What are you
you
going to
for
do to make this
somebody
right?
else.
Interlude chapter.
Zhu Yuan, Qing Yi, both of you, thanks so much. If you weren't there, I can't imagine what could have happened to Belle.
Don't mention it. Keeping citizens safe is our duty as public security officers, and we're thankful for your cooperation. All that paperwork took some time.
Any news on how the driver is doing?
It's nice of you to ask. He's only got minor injuries, but he's
You wonder
quite
if part of what
shaken.
makes it work for Mihoyo is that it's evocative instead of replicative. Like, something like a Dragon Ball game's having to try and bring a specific anime style to life, while Mihoyo needs to bring their style to life. I think that is part of it. They developed a house style and look that looks really good and appealing, and they're very good at doing it.
Juyuan?
And I don't think there's anything inherently worse about trying to doing a 3D anime look that is clearly 3D instead of trying to
Belle and I would love to
look
welcome you
like
to our
fake
video
like a
store.
2D thing. That's a very
So you live
specific
on
trick
6th
that
Street.
Arxis is doing that is really cool, and no one's better than them at that.
What do you mean?
But I think a 3D aesthetic that just looks like
Hold on,
3D anime
Jimmy.
is also fine, like,
Being
and
vague could
and
give the wrong
can be done
impression.
better or worse.
Here,
And there's lots of
take a
games
look
that go
at
for
this.
it, but I
You should
think
better
that
explain what
MiHoYo
she's
is
talking about.
maybe the best at it, at the very least, on like a modeling, shading, lighting like side of things.
Public Security Safety Awareness Month questionnaire?
Our inspector has temporarily assigned us to the Lumina branch to prepare for this event. We'll be holding a big safety lecture here soon for the citizens. The two of us will be visiting nearby neighborhoods and distributing the questionnaires to encourage them to attend.
I see. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Thanks. Please, keep the questionnaire. If you're interested in the seminar, you can fill in your info and give it to us when we visit 6th Street.
See you again soon, managers.
Huh. There'll be public security officers visiting 6th Street soon. In all the time we've lived here, I don't think that's ever happened. There's something else I want to talk about too. About those officers we met earlier.
I wanted
I'm
to
also
discuss the
wondering,
same
part of
thing.
why I want to play through
this isn't the
and
place
see
to
more
help.
of where Genshin Impact
Well,
is
in that
now,
case, let's head home.
with the current released stuff, is because it would give me a little bit more context for what to potentially expect from Zenless long term. Because I see lots of things that are like lots of places where there's some animation room for improvement despite the animation stuff that they are doing quite well. And I'm curious, like, if that's a sort of thing that they would have any plan on adjusting or changing. Like, I wonder what this game would look like 3 years from now. And seeing what Genshin looks like right now would be a pretty good clue. You'd say Arxis' Grand Blue Fantasy Versus Versus Rising, where they updated a bunch of the shaders and lighting, also does the 3D anime look really well. Though I still prefer Guilty Gear Strive's look. Yeah, I think that's also like worth kind of mentioning. Like, I've been calling Arxis' thing like a style with their faking, like kind of faking 2D with their 3D, and it is a unique thing that no one else is really doing to that level. But they've done it in a lot of different aesthetics across their variety of games. And I love that. And I kind of love that even Guilty Gear, which started out like Guilty Gear XR, it started out as a effort to make the 3D almost invisible until they very specifically wanted you to see it. And with Strive, it wasn't so much about making that illusion constantly work. It was just about making it look cool kind of in its own merits. And I love that variety. I love that they've got range even within that specific trick, that specific magic trick they do.
I noticed that you also recognized them right from the start. After Belobog called public security in the Hollow, they were the officers who investigated the scene. You were disguised as EOS at the time, so they weren't aware there was anyone apart from Belobog Industries present.
Do I think some of the animation issues in Zenless are concessions to what mobile phones can support? Because it sure seems crazy to me that all this works on my phone, but I don't really know what the actual limitations are. It is bonkers what you can do on a phone now. I don't think the animation problems that specifically the ones that I'm going to be critiquing are phone limitations.
Yes,
Or they're not limitations in terms of like processing power and tech. It's really just it's aesthetic decisions and like animation direction
We have a rough idea of how
decisions.
things unfolded. Earlier today, you all ended up deep in the hollow after the
I think
thing
that like
with your carrot
the fact that this is
malfunctioned.
being made like that the phone
Then
is one
you
of the
were attacked by
main
an
target
unknown monster right here.
platforms for this game
this
is
the faulty
valuable context to keep in mind.
Yes,
Because it also,
but,
like, it-
some of its parts might have been corrupted. We'll have
Animation
a
and
detailed
visuals and
repair
such that you are
report later.
meant to be seeing on a small screen versus a large screen may influence the animation the animation needs for the project
Different about this thing, Bill.
a little bit in some subtle ways,
Unusually
and it may influence the sorts of scope management work you have to do as well.
Wait a
But
sec, Chingy. Saying things like
yeah,
that
I think
in
the
front of
things that I'm going to
person
critique
filing
are
your
more
report might get us
stylistic and
reported.
aesthetic choices rather than
Let's decide how they ended up
technical
in the
or
hollow
scope
for now.
shortcomings.
Seems like Belobog Industries has come across something quite extraordinary.
Absolutely. I don't remember seeing anything with such unique traits in the record. Let me take a closer look at it.
But yeah, the fact that it is kind of a mobile game first and a console PC game second, at least it seems that way, does make it so whenever there is sort of like some performance issue or some sort of thing that I run into playing it here on a console, I sort of get it because this is not like a lot of the design with like the UI and a lot of the visual elements here were built with phones in mind and adapted to work with on a TV.
Inspector Bringer, what are you doing here?
And fair enough.
Oh, you two are in charge of the scene.
It's good context to keep in mind when critiquing a thing.
Bring the suspect over. Good, my good sir, will you take the picture? I need it for the headlines tomorrow.
Inspector, the suspect isn't here. They were attacked by an unknown being with high ether activity.
Huh? So it was just an ethereal?
No, Inspector. It had some.
You do think some of the
peculiar
faces could be more
characteristics.
expressive outside the comic
We
panels?
suspect it to be the
That's at
result
least
of
within their
hollow
scope.
mutation,
Yeah, it's,
or the
that
product
is
of
one thing that I
some type
think
of
the
illegal
comic panels, which
activity.
I like this. I think this is a great way of them presenting story stuff
You see now,
uh,
Joel. It's
in a
good
more
to be
like
vigilant
budget
as a public
fashion.
security officer.
The
But the election is
expressiveness
just
on
around the
faces
corner.
in these
If
panels
we reveal
do
the
sort
presence
of
an unknown monster in the hollow at
highlight
this stage,
a weird
my
lack of
election,
expressiveness in the faces on the 3D characters. And
public
that
security
might
shouldn't make
be,
any hasty announcements.
to some degree, a limitation of the...
Rest assured, we've
That
requested
might
the
be where
collected
some
evidence be given to hand
phone
for expert
hardware
analysis.
limitation is coming into
We're
play.
confident
Because,
we'll
like,
be able to-
What? It's being given to hand?
face animation rigs and such can get very complicated, especially if you're trying to imitate an anime look, like a cartoon look that can be exaggerated and do lots of like wild, varied expressions. I could see that being challenging to do with a like rendered in real time, like at runtime
I'm surprised
3D character animation rig on a phone where 3 or more characters might be getting seen up close.
Now I get it.
In these sequences. In cinematics, I imagine all that's pre-rendered. In fact, I'm pretty sure it is. But
The seminar must be quite important if he has to assign the two of them to oversee it.
I could see it being a factor, potentially. I don't know for sure.
Barry, are you able to bring up any info about it?
I'm running a search.
But that
on
is one thing that I
keywords
feel in the cinematics especially.
and
Even in the cinematics. So like cinematics are, if those are pre-rendered, then that's where in theory, I guess this is more scope too, but they could have more complex character rigs that can do more facial expressiveness that might be hard for them to do at runtime in game. And that's a lot of work, extra work, making more things. So I can understand that not being done, but there is a noted difference between the level of exaggerated expressiveness in the face versus the body motion on everybody in those cinematics. Just one of the symptoms of the kind of over-animation problem those cinematics have.
Along with the other officers in charge, Inspector Bringer will conduct a media interview during the event to address any concerns citizens may have.
So it's not just Inspector Bringer attending the seminar, but a bunch of media representatives as well. Sounds like Zhu Yuan and Qing Yi will participate in the...
Isn't pre-rendering a file size issue? The game data size is already enormous as far as phone storage goes.
What do you think about
It is true. Like, I wonder, like, they do not have a lot of full cinematics. I think it is maybe like in the 1.0 release, maybe 15 minutes total. That still is a lot for a phone.
Let's tell them when they get here that we'd love...
So maybe not all of them are pre-rendered, but I feel like they must be. But yeah, I'm totally guessing at this point, so I do not know any more than any of you. In fact, maybe less. And they do tend to download data chapter by chapter. That's also true. Pretty common with phone games. So that having an upfront enormous download is like they want that new user acquisition experience to be as smooth and easy and fast as possible, right? Especially for a free-to-play game that's trying to get people into the gacha machine. You do not want any hurdles, or you want as few hurdles as possible between the user having the thought, I should try that game out, and having that game on their phone and starting to play it. And a 30 to 40 to 50 to 100 gig download would be a hurdle. That might cause some people to second guess the decision. And you don't want that. To the metro station. And also, since Bahabali asked, we can stop inside the shop. Never mind, Enzo's not here. We cannot. Alas. You know what? Some of y'all mentioning, I was seeing in chat, some folks mentioned that in addition to not downloading it all at once, some of these games also sort of like delete the data from chapters you've already played through that you're not likely to run into again, which also makes sense for just keeping the file size manageable. And that makes me wonder if, like, I'd always wondered why Genshin Impact doesn't let you, like, replay through stuff again, and, like, maybe that's why, or maybe that was why originally with the way they designed it. Like, they're optimizing for being able to offload old data and files or pre-rendered stuff for content you have already seen and will not, like, have no way of seeing again. I wonder. That might not be true at all. I wonder. How's it going?
Criminal cases have been rampant lately. To raise safety awareness among citizens, Janus Quarter Public Security has launched the Safety Awareness Month campaign. We'll be holding a seminar at the Lumina branch soon. Please come and join us if you have time.
A public security event? Oh, how nostalgic. I participated in such an event years ago, you see. It was somewhat reminiscent of a coffee tasting event. I even had the chance to offer everyone present some freshly ground coffee, albeit it wasn't a top-shelf roast. Oh, it's a shame public security's facilities now smell of air fresheners everywhere. No longer suitable places for enjoying coffee while freely conversing.
What do you mean?
Of course, while fine wines develop into richer experiences with time, other worthy items can go bad. Oh, I'm talking...
You'll never guess what kind of shop this guy runs.
So, to prevent the coffee beans at my shop from facing a sorrowful fate, I have to go grind them properly. I'm afraid I can't make the event. Now, if you'll excuse me.
Mr. Enzo, according to our data, you're running a remodeling shop on 6th Street.
Soda, yes.
Would you be interested in attending the seminar?
Well, hey, it's not often I get invited out by two young ladies, so I'd love to join.
This guy is a style.
Unfortunately, my second aunt's grandfather's son's cousin is getting married that day. I can't miss such an important family event.
Huh, I understand. In that case, I hope your relative has a great wedding.
Oh, I have a customer coming soon to collect his car. I better get back to it.
Good morning, Zhuyuan, Qingyi.
Good morning, Wise. Belle.
Here's our questionnaires. We've decided we'd like to attend the seminar.
Wonderful. If it weren't for you two, we wouldn't have recruited a single participant yet.
Qingyi, that's blunt.
So what? It's the truth. Besides, it's not like they're strangers, right?
She's right. But why do you think nobody on 6th Street is willing to go to the seminar? The neighbors are all pretty welcoming.
Is there anything we can do to help?
It
Now
really
that you
feels like
mention
the
it,
animation
there is
for
something I'd like to
these
ask you.
Zoom
Some of the
call
residents on
conversation
6th Street
scenes
only registered their names, but didn't
was made
fill
for a
in their
completely
addresses.
different game than the animation
Do
for the
you know where they
cinematics.
live?
Let me see. Asha, General Chop.
This looks
Spike should
like
be one of our members.
how style
Another gentleman.
MiHoYo
We know all
Genshin
these
Impact.
people.
In that
Kind of
case,
minimal,
we'll take the questionnaires to them.
Conservative,
That's a good
chill,
idea.
reserved energy.
6th Street doesn't usually have much interaction
Conversation.
with public security.
And then you get to a
See
cinematic.
officers giving out questionnaires all of a sudden. They might be wary and refuse. If it's a neighbor who brings,
Which looks like the Hotel Transylvania team takes over for a second.
Oh, we wouldn't want to trouble you.
It's no big deal. Don't worry about it.
Zhuyuan, since they're willing, we should let them help.
Okay, thank you. Really. Let's split up and meet back here later then.
I have to go find Aisha, General Chop, and Spike and give them the public security survey. Okay. This I can do. I can run an errand with the best of them. You. I'm spamming through your text because this is not usable footage. Does it seem to me like the cinematics are animated by a different team or just different instructions? I think almost definitely a different team. I think projects, I think MiHoYo games like this are too big to have like one small group of animators doing everything. I think it is different groups and specialists working on different things. I think it is just like, I'm not in there. I don't know what I don't know what the development of this was like. I don't know who's calling what shots and who is or isn't in a place to be calling shots the way they need to, but it feels like a general overall direction problem that if the animation coming in from different teams working on the same project doesn't look like it fits together, that is a like animation direction issue. And yeah, like Noname Nanashiki. Sorry, let me try that again. Is it No Name Nanashiki? Is that what it's meant to be? It might be. But yeah, what you said, cinematic animators are a different internal team or sometimes entirely farmed out. That's common anyway. 100% that. Yes. What they said. Especially at the AAA scale. Like you've got gameplay animators and cinematics animators usually as two entirely separate teams with their own specializations and pipelines and workflows and everything. And also, as Twiddle said, almost every game studio outsources cinematics these days, so that's also possible. And in fact, likely. It's increasingly difficult having an in-house dedicated team just for cinematics as a studio these days. Like, you've got to be a specific kind of studio that makes specific kinds of games for that to make sense. Like, if you're at Naughty Dog, that makes sense. If you're at Insomniac, that makes sense. If you're at any given Ubisoft studio, that makes sense. Sony Santa Monica, 100% yes. Especially any cinematics team where the cinematics have a lot of, like, integration into gameplay and, like, a lot of smooth transitions within gameplay. Like, a lot of places where it's not so simple as play a movie and then get back to gameplay. The more interwoven those experiences are, the more useful it is to have a team, or at least a small team, in-house, overseeing and managing and running that kind of stuff, working with an outsourced studio.
I knew it. I had a feeling General Chop would say no before we even got here. It'll be hard to break the news to them later.
Oh, have other people said no too?
Yeah, we went to see Asha and Spike just now, but they turned us down. And this morning, Tin Master and Enzo said they were away on the day of the seminar.
Is there something going on?
It's no big secret. It's just some of us older residents on 6th Street know some things you're not aware of. Do you two know who the guy on the questionnaire cover is?
That's Inspector Bringer. He started the event.
Then have either of you heard of the Hollow Hero from the Eridu period?
Nope, never heard of it.
Well, for a while back then.
So something like Final Fantasy VII Remake, or is that different for cinematic? Yeah, there's definitely a lot of more complicated integration between, like, cinematic and gameplay for something like Final Fantasy VII Remake, in the way that they tend to very seamlessly, impressively seamlessly, transition in and out of them.
But just when everyone thought he was done for,
also, there's lots of story cinematic scenes that kind of take place inside gameplay areas where there might still be a lot of, like, kind of
Sounds like a great story.
It used to be.
A lot of, like, runtime NPC and gameplay stuff still kind of ongoing, in the same way that, like, in the game, in, like, The Witcher or something. Like, you as Geralt may run up to a character and start talking and kick off this whole conversation scene with cinematics and things like that, but a lot of the game sim and NPC routines and things like that are still kind of running and operating at the same time. It's just a sudden more cinematic presentation. But I'm sure even Final Fantasy VII Remake and Square, like, all these big studios they've got their internal team, but they've also got outsourced crews that they are pulling in to assist just with the sheer quantity and the workload.
His motives are pretty clear.
These games are just too big for one studio to make anymore.
Sounds like Inspector Bringer is trying to advertise himself through the seminar.
Exactly.
And yeah, the handful of cinematics, very good point, Evil Bacchus. The handful of cinematics in Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth that are fully pre-rendered, using, like, different models and assets and all that, like, those are definitely a different team.
Well, we visited all the neighbors. It might be awkward, but it's probably time to go back and tell Zhu Yuan and Qing Yi the news.
MiHoYo also has a crazy fast pace for updates. Yeah, they've, like, it doesn't surprise me that it's a pretty large team working on this one, especially for, like, a live service game that is doing big updates every, like, how often do new characters and, like, content updates drop in these things? Like,
We've gone up and down.
Is it once a month?
But we haven't even gotten 10 people to
Give or
register
take.
for the seminar.
We've done our best. Let's get a drink.
Honkai Star Rails every 6 weeks. That's,
Hey, easy
like,
for you to say.
even just a
The
new
conference hall we're
character,
in can fit 300
even just a new
people,
character.
You know? As things stand, it'll be
New
more
character
than
every
half
20 days,
empty.
40 days for major patch drop.
Inspector Bringer
That's
must have
so
chosen this
fast.
area because there's
That's a lot.
residents
That's a lot
nearby,
to get done
thinking it would
in
be easier to find people to participate.
in like 3 to 6
Many of
weeks.
them are from his previous
Jeez.
precinct.
Yeah,
A lot of them have
that would take a big
complaints about him.
team to maintain.
I was just wondering why you're in such low spirits today, when I've never seen you discouraged by difficult tasks before. But then I remembered.
Even more so, I imagine, for a game like this, where a new character,
Not being able
like
to accomplish what we'd hoped, on top of seeing him
this kind
come to
of
fire.
action
Must
combat
make you feel
gameplay's
even
got a
worse.
lot of finesse to it. Like,
If Ringer hadn't rescued me in that hollow back then,
it's one
I
thing
wouldn't
putting out a
even
new
be
character
here,
for a
let alone
turn-based
be a public
RPG, where like
security
some of their moves
officer.
may be flashy, but
I
like that's a
understand he's no
fairly
longer the
simple
hero he used to
gameplay
be,
animation
but
moveset to manage,
someone who gave up
scope-wise
his
and visually.
anti-corruption gear to a child
Like,
be such a
there's so
bad
much
guy?
nuance to
Sure,
fast-paced
he's had
action
some dealings
combat
with
stuff like
Tops,
this that
but
is this
it's
flashy and this
inevitable,
polished that like
especially when many of our devices are
that takes a
only
lot of
developed
polished
with
work.
Tops.
Like that's a lot.
And besides,
A new
doesn't he
character,
always say
a new
he
this
lacks
kind of
sufficient
character every 3
authority to make
weeks
changes?
is pretty wild.
If he gets elected, maybe he might be able to turn public opinion around.
Worshipping an undeserving deity is sycophancy. Failure
Like,
to act when
That-
action is
it's like
needed shows
putting
a
out
lack
a
of
new.
courage.
What?
I don't want to say it's
When
just that like it's
someone
putting out a new
fires
Devil May Cry
undeserving
character,
people,
though it kind of
it's
is.
considered an act of sycophancy.
Maybe like less
If one
a new
should
Devil May
stand
Cry
up for what
character
is
who only
right
has
but
one weapon,
remains indifferent,
rather
it
than
shows
like a
that
whole
person is a
like
coward. As public
5 or 6 or
security
7 or 8 different
officers,
weapons that
we
like
need to
Dante
be
whoever
clear
has
about
that changes
what
up their
we should and
moveset
shouldn't
and their
do.
mechanics, but like
There may be
putting out
many
a new
different
Devil May
ways to
Cry
interpret
character with
Inspector
just the one
Bringer's
weapon,
actions, but only he knows
fully
whether
fleshed
he
out and
has a
polished
clear
and ready to go
conscience. If his deeds were pure,
every 3 to 6
even if
weeks.
he's
Gracious.
misunderstood for the time being, things will work out in the end.
Yeah, you're right. Hold on. Someone's coming.
Sorry, are we
It's an impressive
interrupting you two?
production they're doing over there.
Oh, we
Like
were
I'd
just chatting.
love to
Did
see
you
just
go
sort of
talk
like
to the
what
residents?
We gave them
I'd love to get a
questionnaire,
glimpse
but
into
everyone
like
said they were busy on that day. Looks
how
like
they're
they
just
couldn't
like
be able to
running the
talk.
production of this
Oh,
game.
it's okay. We're just grateful you tried it all. We're almost done with.
It's kind of like
distributing
anytime I
questionnaires here,
hear
too.
little tidbits from folks who've
Then
worked
Jimmy
on
and I
like
will be
the
heading back
Madden
to the
franchise about like
Wait a minute!
the task of
Officers!
getting a new one of those games pulled together every year, and like the tools and workflows and the like the tactics they have for like what they'll upgrade, what they'll update this year, what they'll try to overhaul, like what the goals for this one are, and how do we get all this like planned, put together, and made and shipped in less than a year. It's like
Committed over there.
it's amazing.
It's at a stalemate. Please, officers, you have to go take a look.
A crime. Let's go check out the scene.
Great. Please, follow me.
Belle, let's go see what's going on.
I know I'm ignoring a lot of dialogue. That's partly because I'm just leaving the recording going as everyone talks, but also because like I'm not the sort who usually skips through character dialogue in video games, but this game's kind of trained me to because there's so much of it, and it's not interesting enough to merit that much attention to me.
If you say there's officers nearby, then let them come and weigh in. I mean, what possible argument could there be? They were caught in the act.
Sir, caught in the act doesn't seem fair. It's similar to seeing only foam on a cup of barley latte and declaring it isn't coffee.
That's a good
Calm
point,
down now,
Craven.
gentlemen.
Like
We're public
Genshin
security
found
officers.
lots
What's
of
going on
animation
here?
shortcuts, especially early on. Like there are lots of
It's like this.
there is a lot of animation sharing between characters in at least 1.0
Finished the delivery and was called
of Genshin. There is some unique stuff, but they share it a lot. I think they're sharing less and less with modern updates from what I've seen. There's a lot more moves in every character's moveset that feel more noticeably unique and not like the same shared stock thing. But they did a lot of like that was some smart optimization early on back in those days.
Hold on. Belle, isn't that Bang Boo give change from the 141 convenience store?
Officers, I saw the whole thing. There was no one around when it happened except this Bang Boo. I'm sure it opened my cargo compartment. Those ducks inside are a new specially bred variety. They're worth a fortune. Losing just 1 or 2 of them will cost me more than a month's salary.
I've taken your statement, sir. Bang Boo, do you have anything to add?
And yes, Twiddle 100% agreed, shouted from the rooftops. Repurposing old animation is just a smart thing to do. Reusing animation is good.
Hey, what do you mean the door was open? I know you opened the door and let all the ducks out.
I really should just make
If I might say,
a short video
I think
of
we're
that
too
one of
harsh
these
on
days.
Give Change. Officers, as Give Change's neighbor, I must say something on their
Just
behalf.
arguing that point.
I know them well, and I'm sure they wouldn't do anything like this.
Then tell me, why was my cargo compartment open despite being locked? Officers, there's been tons of Bangbu committed crimes in the city lately. You gotta help me find evidence linking this Bangbu to the crime, so we can hold it accountable for my losses.
This isn't just
Like, Tears of the Kingdom could not exist without Breath of the Wild existing already. Majora's Mask couldn't exist without Ocarina of Time existing already and having all these animation assets that they could just use.
The only time I've seen Tin Master this agitated is when I asked for instant coffee.
I can't believe there's been a crime on 6th
Elden
Street,
Ring
and that Give Change
has
gotten
so
his
many
weapon.
assets pulled forward
Give
from
Change was already
their previous
working at
titles,
141
and good.
when we first moved here. I don't believe it'd do something like this. But Give Change was the only one there when the driver realized what had happened. So it's hard to explain.
Didn't I make that point in the Dark Souls parry comparison? Probably. I feel like it's a thing that I'd say.
Zhu Yuan and Qing Yi
So,
dissolved
it's a thing I
everything?
say so often that
Let's go
it's
see what's going
almost
on.
kind of weird. I haven't actually just made the video dedicated to it, but it's not to say that there can't be like issues with like reuse of certain animations or that
Belle.
like
Otherwise,
like sometimes improving on animation stuff that's not working super well is worth doing, but generally speaking,
not yet, unfortunately.
way
We
too many
discussed the
people
situation and
among
managed
the
to calm
gamers
everyone
treat
down.
like any reused asset they
what's
can
the
spot
situation
gets
now?
treated as some sort of weird smoking gun.
We took a look around the truck,
And
we
it's
didn't find anything
really absurd.
suspicious, other than the traces left by the escaped ducks. There are no security cameras in the area, so all that's left to be checked is the Bangbu's visual record.
Yakuza.
and the
Yakuza
truck's
reuses
mobile
so
track
much stuff.
system. And to review both of those, professional technicians are needed, so we don't have an immediate conclusion.
If Fairy were to help, she'd be able to see
Yeah,
Give
like when you
Change's
like actually
visual recording
stop
right
and
away.
look
But I
around
can't do anything
at a
in
bunch
front
of
public
franchises to try to see like which ones have been
Anyway,
reusing animations from
that'll take
previous
at least
things.
2 or 3 days.
It's so
The
many.
driver and
It's
Give
everywhere.
Change will have their daily routine disrupted somewhat during this time. After we explained the
And it's good.
situation, the driver said his main concern is the whereabouts of the cargo. As long as he can
So it
deliver the
allows
shipment on
each
time today, he's willing
sequel,
to
like in
reconcile.
a series, in an
So,
ongoing series,
Tin
to
Master and some other residents
be
of
bigger
6th
and
Street
better.
went to look for the ducks.
bring forward what works,
In that case, Belle,
improve
let's
or
hurry up and
replace
go help
what
too.
doesn't,
We'll accompany you as well.
use the saved time to make more things.
Oh,
Boom.
I thought you were going back to the precinct.
The driver may have proposed a solution.
Is there a
but
prejudice
there's
against
likelihood
reused
of
material
further
because of the
conflict
perception that it's
until
lazy?
all the ducks are
Yeah,
recovered,
I think
so we can't
it is
just
in
walk
part that.
away.
It is.
Junior officers would usually be responsible for these types of cases, but handing the task over would take time.
It's hard for me,
and
like,
we
I-
don't want residents to think
I guess I
public
shouldn't try
security is
to
evading our responsibility
straw
to
man
the
guess
public.
at what the
And there's
reasoning
something
is for why
suspicious about this incident,
folks
so
would
Qingyi and I decided to
feel
look for
upset
few
at seeing a
clues while
reused
searching
thing.
for
I think it is
ducks.
often people
Thank you both.
like
Then let's get going.
who are wanting to find a justification for anger at or frustration at, or they're wanting to find a justification for calling a thing bad or a studio bad or something, and they are looking for a reason, any reason. And to some extent, sure, like there's a degree to which I think that that kind of mentality can exist because like maybe the folks like just don't, there's a lot about the creation of games or the different disciplines in games that people don't know, and fair enough, it's a lot of specialized information. I wouldn't expect anyone to have I would not expect every single person who plays and enjoys video games to have an exhaustive understanding of how games are made before like criticizing a thing that they do or don't like in a game. That'd be silly. At the same time, there are lots of folks out there claiming to understand or acting as though they understand how games are made and criticizing from that position. And criticizing from a position of very clear ignorance, not actually knowing how things work. And they don't really have, like, the thing is, if you want to know how games are made, you can find out these days. It's not hard to. People are talking about, like, there are near endless resources for finding out how games are made. For every discipline, every part of the process, there are people out there on YouTube and all kinds of websites talking about it and explaining it. You can find out if you actually want to know. If you just want to complain, though, I guess it's a lot of work, extra effort to go to and counterproductive to your goals if you're really just looking for a thing to complain about. And yeah, Wicker Guide, I think that's actually also probably a good observation. Like, in the same way that people will point at like plot holes or bad acting in a movie as the thing that made it bad, when like the real problem with the movie was probably something else, but those are sort of the more like surface tangible details that are a little easier to spot or to kind of guess at. And so that's sort of where the blame goes. And I think that that's a common thing that probably everybody sort of does. Increasingly, like, especially the less you know about the like production processes of a thing, which we all have plenty of things that we don't know everything about. Most things, in fact. So I think that's pretty common. But yeah, also the haters are going to hate, and also, like, being the creator who is a professional hater is a very profitable industry. So a lot of haters are pretending to hate for money. I didn't realize that I wasn't paying enough attention to the text. I didn't realize, like, Untitled Goose Game was making an appearance back there. Wild duck. I do wish I found this story more interesting, because boy, you do spend a lot of time in it. Like, we've been in the game for maybe like 40-ish minutes now. And I did that one fight kind of at the start. And the rest of this has just kind of been watching varying versions of this. But then on the other hand, that little guy's pretty cute. So, who's to say? What did I think of the chapter 2 story? Like, it generally the same, like, even though I'll admit that I am paying only partial attention to dialogue and story that is happening in a lot of these. At best, a lot of the story just feels kind of okay and fine. Just passable, sort of like mediocre anime plot that you're kind of like half watching. And that just might be my tastes. Because frankly, I'd also be like, I would treat anybody who came in with strong opinions about a story that they were only half paying attention to, I would have difficulty taking their opinion seriously. So I will not blame any of you if you do the same to me. It is not compelling to me, but I'm not paying enough attention to really actually critique it in any sort of useful way. Thank you for the hydrate reminder, by the way.
The lights are on. Did you
I think a lot of it may not even be an issue with the story itself in terms of like plot, character, dialogue, or whatever. Like those are, I think, fine enough, serviceable. I think part of it is just the like pacing and quantity of it. It is
I'd have noticed if I left the lights on.
so much of it that is not compelling enough on its own that I am like, I think it does speak to the quality of the story that it is not compelling enough that what they are showing to me
Can't turn them off.
even in these fully animated or voiced story scenes is not interesting or compelling enough to make me to get me invested enough to want to hear or read more. I've played and enjoyed many games with a lot of text and a lot of characters talking because like the stories were good, the characters were good, they got me hooked, and I was here for more as much as they wanted to give me.
Wait, why's...
But when there's just a lot of this text, a lot of these scenes, and they're not grabbing you, it's like your attention's probably going to start fading a bit.
We've encountered today are somehow related to vehicles.
Now that you mention it, you're right. The van in the convenience store wouldn't start. The car that just pulled out of the remodeling shop broke down. And now Weisenbell's car lights won't turn off. If we count the missing ducks from Pegasus Logistics, that's already 4 vehicles involved.
If we count the car accident the other afternoon, that's 5.
That was my fault, actually. My cell phone was malfunctioning, and it distracted me.
Either way.
Sonabi is a perfect example of what should be too much story to a game ratio, but it works. Yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like Sonabi has too much story to gameplay.
Kind of malfunction.
But it is, like, for me, easily saved by the fact that that story is actually real darn good and compelling.
A bunch of colorful stripes appeared on the screen, but it went back to normal soon after.
At the same time, I could understand anybody who, like, would just be very frustrated by how much the game was stopping to do story scenes if it was not grabbing them. Because if it's not grabbing you, then boy, yeah, that's just gonna kill your experience of that game.
What are you and Jingy talking about?
I think we finally figured out what's really behind all the recent incidents. For now, let's get the ducks back and see if we can confirm a few things along the way. Meet us near the truck later, and I'll explain everything.
Over here now? Okay.
Juyuan and Jingy told us to wait for them here. Did they come by?
Oh, yeah. Here's all that happened. They just came and measured the Bangbu's electrical current data logs, asked a weird question, then left in a hurry.
Could you tell us what they asked?
They asked me if my cell phone had malfunctioned in any way, since I'd been on the phone during the incident. My phone actually did turn itself off out of nowhere, but how did they know that?
What?
Story in Zenless Zone Zero is a lot smaller scale than Honkai Star Rail. You're basically just freelancers making a living day to day and helping out the neighborhood. And that I like. I actually like that a lot. I like that. I like the setting and the sort of like larger plot idea, the premise of Zenless Zone Zero, I like a lot. The aesthetic that they've chosen, the sort of like more Persona adjacent, but not quite Persona. This, like, the look and vibe of this, I am way into so much of it. And I think a smaller scale story is great, actually. There's more opportunity for things to be interesting there.
open the electronic lock on your van without
And I wish
even
I did
touching
find
it
the
easily.
results more
The
interesting
moment your door
in
is
practice.
opened, not only does your phone malfunction, but give change
Because like premise is good, but if the stories they're telling within that premise of you going around and helping people and doing your freelance thing,
just like me?
and the characters you're
someone
meeting,
else's
like if they're
fault?
not interesting you enough to pay attention, then
Yes,
it's unfortunate.
we believe that to be the case.
I shouldn't have been so hot-headed. What I said before, give change, I'm sorry I misjudged you. You have my sincerest apology. So, who is the culprit, officers? Have you caught them?
Don't worry. Our colleagues are checking the surveillance records. We should be able to identify the culprit real soon. They launched multiple EMP attacks today.
Yeah, like
So
I
if
am
we check
here
all
for
the
a game.
passersby near the crime scenes, we can
Same
narrow
whiskey.
down
I
our
am
search.
100% in for any game where it's like you're just going around helping people out. And you get those like one of my favorite games is Little Gator Game, where you're just going around wandering to various people, helping them out with a random thing.
Immediately. Well done.
You run up to 3 kids who are like, I don't like, I have a lunch, but I don't want this.
Chingy, come on.
And then you help them out by like giving one of their lunch to another one, and another lunch to another. Like, if you just describe that, that's stupid. Who cares? But it's cute, and like in that game, it's really cute and funny, and you like, and it's over in a minute or two. Like,
Okay.
hey, a cinematic, we found one. It is so, it's jarring going from those long conversations like that to this. Even though they look cool.
Stop or I'll shoot! This is Juyuan. The suspect has fled into the hollow. We're pursuing him inside.
Copy that.
I'd have thrown it harder if I'd known he was so tough.
How are things going?
The culprit ran into the hollow and we're going after him. You two can head back now.
Let's follow them and see what happens, Wise.
Zhu Yuan and Qing Yi have gone into the hollow.
While we're on the topic of story to
Well, I'm
gameplay
sure they
ratio,
can
that's just
handle
one more
the
example of
situation.
Chrono Trigger being the
Let's head
best,
in
all
too.
killer, no filler.
I
It
wouldn't
really
mind
is
teaching that
like,
guy a lesson
Chrono Trigger is
myself.
surprisingly lean.
Whoa.
Nice breezy,
You're pretty
like
angry.
classic JRPG.
You almost got into an accident because of him. I won't let him get away with it.
Like every now and then I
Besides,
sometimes wonder
he's caused
playing
so
like
much
games
trouble
like
on
this,
6th
because I've played
He needs to be held
a couple
accountable
of
for what he's
MiHoYo
done.
games now, at least a little
Whenever
ways,
you're
and
ready,
several other sort of like
let's go.
Chinese gacha
Just
games.
remember to keep
And
your
I sometimes
distance
wonder
from the
like
officers
it might
while
just
we're in
be,
the hollow.
it could maybe there's
They
something in
are
the
on the
localization
job.
of this that is just not working for me, or maybe there's something just about these sort of like narrative tastes, sort of like about the different audience, which like legit that could be. But then I also like think of something like Chrono Trigger and other older JRPGs that have like actually quite bad localization, sometimes to the point where you cannot even literally like whole plot beats don't come across. Important plot elements aren't conveyed, and yet they are still like surprisingly compelling because the core gets through. And that sometimes makes me second guess whether I'm being too lenient. It's also a thing in Japanese and Korean gacha games, so maybe it's just a gacha game thing. That could be too. Like that's also a case where like I also do not play a lot of these kinds of games, so there's a lot about like the conventions, the developed conventions of this genre that I am less familiar with. And as a bit of an outsider, I also can't like, it limits my ability to speak authoritatively on it, you know? Chapter 2 Interlude Story. We're doing a thing. Gameplay begin. Let's go. Oh, and hey, we get to use a character on a trial basis. Which I really, again, am glad they do.
Stand by.
Who else will go in here? What kind of... Okay, you're an attack type. So let's get Anby in for stunning and
In position. Needs nothing to fear.
Nicole in
The
for
engineers
support.
are here.
Here's all the other characters that I have, but they are all 10 levels lower and less,
Good day, Proxy.
like,
How can I help?
One.
not going to do well in this environment,
Need something?
let's say.
My services are expensive.
They're going to struggle. I too like the large bear. Large bear is very good.
The heat signature is moving west. The precinct's carrot won't last forever. If we act fast, we can catch the suspect before he gets away.
Yeah, let's keep going.
I too love a good anime missile.
Master.
Anime makes missiles look good.
Assisting security officers, Ju Yuan and multiple biosignatures detected ahead. Presumably the target's requiring assistance. Please utilize your size advantage to approach quietly and provide assistance when needed.
Surrender now! Give it up!
I also, like, I don't know how the fan base has generally reacted to kind of a lot of gameplay exploration being these sorts of, like, little puzzle things. I think these are legit cute. I actually kind of like... They do a lot with this. And I think it's a pretty fun, like, gimmick. I enjoy how they translate what is, like, narratively and spatially happening and interpret it on these little 2D TV map screens. I think it's really cute. And honestly, a little bit more, like, engaging as a play experience than just running around an open world.
Stop right there!
Provides a little variety in between the bursts of combat, too, which is nice.
Eat this.
It's an EMP.
Chingy, are you... Hold on. Ethereals are coming our way.
Were they attracted by the EMP? Let's fend them off first.
So there's something about this is just very charming, I think.
Well, let's take a closer
Creative. I love a creative solution. Well, I have never used this character before. Let's see how you work.
Be careful. The ethereals are up ahead.
Are you,
Don't worry.
like, ranged, or are you meant to get in close? I think you're meant to get in close. Huh, a little both, actually. Yeah, she just moves and fights so different than everybody else. That's what impresses me as well, is just like how differently all these characters handle and function. It is not the copy-paste sort of stuff that, like, 1.0 Genshin characters can often feel like, with slight variations. They all work so differently. You have to, like, getting good at the game and putting your solid team together is not just about powering up the characters and leveling them up a bunch. It's, like, also figuring out how to play each one in more of a fighting game sense, and that's legit cool.
Watch your surroundings.
Take on.
An opening. Don't even try it. You're surrounded.
Goodness gracious, look at all that.
Finally rid of all those ethereals.
I didn't expect the EMP emitter to affect ethereals so much.
Looking at the notes people have online for how to play this character is daunting. But it is fun looking at people talking, like the high-level players, explaining how to play these characters, because it is legit like watching... It is like watching a video of a
No need. He went right.
top-tier, best Smash Melee players in the world explaining how to play a character. Like, how to play Fox in Melee at a competitive level. That level of
Hold on, let me write that down.
nuance and, like, fiddly, frame-perfect combo stuff. Like,
Traces in the snow.
that depth is in here, and I love it, even if it is way beyond me. It just makes it all the more impressive to me that they're, like, again, that they're coming out with
I guess it is based
a
on
new
the feeling.
character at that depth every 3 to 6 weeks.
I didn't realize the EMP would affect you like that. Are you okay?
Yeah, it's nothing serious. It's just...
A lot of Bayonetta or DMC fans seem to think it's relatively simple. There is complexity to be had, which is a step up from most, if not all, action mobile games. I think, yeah, I expect the... On the one hand, I definitely suspect that the Bayonetta and DMC fans are right to an extent that for any given character,
We should get going.
the baseline of sort of like combat mechanics is relatively simple. But I think once you add in the complexity of team comps and like playing a trio of characters together, I expect that more than makes up for the
Way if we can fix this mechanism.
level of like complexity and combo type stuff you can do. I would guess. Let me through. I want through so bad.
I have connected to the damaged circuit. Master, I found the cause of the damage. A short circuit. You can touch the circuit components and move them around to connect the circuit.
Okay.
Try touching a circuit component.
Oh.
The circuit has been
Ooh, a new little minigame. That, like, so many of these little missions introduce just a new kind of little minigame mechanic to do for, like, a mission. And maybe it'll pop up in later ones too, but they do a lot with this. More than I honestly expected them to do when I saw them introduce this presentation.
They're not getting through here.
It's closed. We'll have to try and break it open.
Look, the switch is right there. We might be able to fix it.
Ooh, here we go. Nope. Y'all are gonna have to take it from here because I can't go any further than this. I think. Nope. Oh, here we go.
Qingyi, something flew by just now.
It was me. Don't mind me.
Let's connect the circuit, just like last time.
Okay. There you go.
It has been fixed.
The door's open. You're incredible, Qingyi.
That's strange. I barely used any force just now.
Problem solved. Let's follow them.
In a minute, there's currency. Okay.
Don't use the EMP. It'll draw the ethereals here.
Like I care.
They're over there.
I think I know what'll happen, but let's see. Yep. Wow.
There's signs of an EMP being used here, too.
Nice. Okay. Now, let's try this one. Nope. What am I missing? I thought I was blocked from going this way, but no, wait. I can repair it. Okay. My mistake.
We can do this with our eyes closed already. Let's fix it.
That might have been actually it, but there we go.
Circuit has been fixed.
Down first. I think there's goodies, probably. There are. Gimme.
You'll never catch me. Ha! A single ethereal is no match for me. Why are there so many of them? Ah! Help!
Rip.
What a satisfying moment. That's what you call karma.
This isn't the time for reflection, Qingyi. We have to help him.
I will also participate. Maybe. Unless there's goodies that I'm missing. Are there goodies I missed? I bet there's goodies I'm missing. Hang on. Just in case. Okay, now I'm helpful. We go.
Whoa! Don't come any closer!
I can hear the suspect. Let's go.
There's no rush. Let him scream a little longer.
Qingyi, now isn't the time to be vindictive.
I honestly wish that you spent a little bit more of the time just doing this combat stuff. Even if it gets a little bit repetitive, it is in the moment-to-moment, like, fast and quick and feels good that you can very much get into a flow of just, like, attacking, blocking, dodging, not blocking, but, like, dodging, setting up combos. Like, I think you could very comfortably do this sort of thing for a while and just have a good old time. Stay away. Yeah.
Perfect teamwork. The pleasure's all yours.
Bullseye.
Mind your manners.
Stay fire.
Goodness gracious. Not used to those going down that fast. You wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a materials grind mode that basically has you play through procedurally generated maps. There's definitely no end of combat encounters you can get yourself into to grind. There's an abundance of them, but you are gated on a lot of it by, like,
The ethereals are...
basically, like, energy charge that you only get so much of per day unless you want to spend money. It just...
What's wrong? Didn't
It's
expect
gotcha.
us to
It's
chase you all the
it's a
way
gotcha
here?
game.
No. I mean, I'm just surprised, is all. I mean, I've been causing problems for you all, and there were so many ethereals...
As I sort of said at the beginning, there's a lot about this game that is really cool and could be a lot better in a game that was not
Protecting
engineered to be
citizens is our duty as officers. But as they say, what
a gotcha
goes
machine.
around comes around. If it weren't for your misuse of the EMP in town, you wouldn't have found ethereals nearby.
And there is a roguelike mode thing in it as well, which is also kind of cool.
Was that a poem?
And that one, yeah, I think you're allowed to just keep doing that one if you want. So that's nice.
Arresting you for illegal possession of a dangerous weapon and endangering the safety of others. What's your name?
Carlo Maroon.
Thank you for cooperating, Mr. Maroon. You have the right to remain silent. Once we're out of the hollow, you can contact a lawyer or get assistance from the Attorneys Association. We should make our way back to the
The gotcha
precinct,
aspect
Qingyi.
makes you nervous to try it. Yeah, like, which I understand. And if you've struggled with gotcha games before and kind of like spending more money or time on them than you really felt like you wanted to, then I would advise avoiding this one too, because it is working to, like, take your money or time just as much as any of the rest.
I mean, I did suffer several EMP attacks today, so my senses could still be a bit overwhelmed. Let's go. After we drop off Maroon at the precinct, we should go back to 6th Street and tell everyone the good news.
Hey, thank you very much for the 2 months. Subscribed, Denny-san. Hello to you as well. Hey, we did a mission. I would definitely push back on the MiHoYo games not being too predatory compared to other. Like, I'm sure there are others that are even more predatory. These are very predatory in their design, though. Like, they may not be the worst. There may be worse out there, but these are pretty bad. And they are worse as, like, fun on their own merit game experiences for it, which is really unfortunate. There's a lot of aspects of these games that good aspects that could shine even brighter if they were not, I've said it a bunch of times already, but if they were not being bent in the, like, toward a gacha purpose.
You're welcome. It's an officer's duty and privilege. Public security will contact you for any compensation-related matters.
Like, I think there's a version of monetization and, like, game design in. There's a version of this game that could exist that still incorporates some, like,
preliminary interrogation.
gacha-y elements in the same way as, like, hard packs in Hearthstone or loot drops in Diablo or or a battle pass type thing. Like, there's other kinds of monetization type things and structures that they could do with this sort of game and make a much better game that is not so bloated full of currencies specifically in order to create more opportunities for bottlenecks that compel you to maybe spend money. Like, because that's the only reason they're there. There's not a reason to have this many currencies or this many resources that you can gacha collect, grind for, power up in order to stay on the curve. There's not a reason to add the energy limit system. Like, all of these things that are added in there are, like, as part bent toward making a gacha game that takes your time or money, and not toward making, like, an enjoyable on its own merit game.
That's about it. We'll be heading back to the precinct now for the second interrogation.
And I can understand why they make this version and not some other version of this game that I'm hypothesizing about, because that other version's probably not as profitable, or maybe not as profitable. These games are very profitable for them. The other version's probably less so. I think they would be better actual, like, video games, though, and a little bit less ethically objectionable. Because, like, I'm enjoying a lot about this, but it is, like, I want to enjoy it more than the game's letting me.
We've decided to attend the safety lecture on Saturday. Here are the questionnaires.
That's a bit of a bummer.
Really?
Well, it's aimed at enhancing resident safety awareness after all, so it wouldn't hurt to attend. We heard you were ordered to come here and prepare for the event by Bringer. We can't let outstanding officers like you fail your mission just because we're unhappy with him, can we?
Oh, you're too kind. Protecting the safety of the citizens is our duty, but your willingness to attend the lecture helps us a lot too.
Can I also have a questionnaire, officers? I want to attend the lecture too.
Great. In the end, things turned out well for everyone.
I guess that's what you call a win-win situation.
What do you, like, as many critical words as I may have for the monetization design of this game, like, on a more business level, again, a lot of the artists and animators have done some stellar work, and I still very much appreciate that a lot. Despite what my more critical video I'm working on and will make it sound like. I also have lots of praise. I also have a lot of, like, good things to say in the video also.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Donald. Once my camping group went on a trip with a secret cannibal. When my friend's red-headed girlfriend disappeared, I asked, "Where did Wendy go?" I was like, saying the last few words of it, and it was like, I felt like I was so sure there was going to be a joke in that. Oh, there's the punchline. I get it. I get it. Just snuck that in there. Are we back to side things? Possibly. don't know if I've ever seen you here at this little charging station before. I don't come up here very often, though, so maybe you're always there. The limitations added with energy on gameplay can be from regulations in China for how long they want someone playing. I don't know how much of that actually affects games like these. It's hard to say, but I am like, that's definitely not exclusive to, it's pretty common in gacha type games and like games of this sort. It is a thing built to help artificially reinforce making this game part of your routine and daily habit. You can only play, like, you can't binge all in one day and burn yourself out on it. You can only binge so much today. So if you want to keep on progressing, the only way is to come back tomorrow or, hey, spend some money. Because, like, sure, in fact, that might, I don't, maybe the game's structure works a little bit different in China for laws like that, but like, you're only limited by the energy limit in this game as far as you are unwilling to pay for more. And I'm only so far into the game, but even I have seen enough and had to do enough of the grindy type stuff to like get these characters leveled up for keeping up with being at this level. And just 3 characters really being at this level to know that like, oh yeah, this is already grindy and I'm just getting started. This is just 3 characters. Is there an in-game item to restore energy? Paid stuff. Is a resource that you do get for free in various places in limited amounts, like all the currencies, but you will run out of it very quickly and have to pay to have more of it. Same as with the gacha currencies and the upgrade currencies and all the other stuff. Didn't Stephanie Sterling do a really excellent video about the strategies used for not like just in-game monetization in general, not even just gacha games? Because I feel like gating your progress was part of some kind of symposium about how to expertly charge your customers by using psychology. Yeah, like, so I've not seen the Stephanie Sterling video you're referring to, though that does very much sound like their like kind of topic, and probably I imagine they did a pretty good job with it. But yeah, I do think that the energy system type thing is one of many sort of strategic design choices of that sort of preying on psychology in that way. You stand up for these games as real games. You don't deny that they're still of their genre. So like, which I get, and I do think I am hesitant to outright dismiss any game in this genre like as having no value whatsoever, because that's not true, and there's a lot of good stuff that is in them. But like, I think the best way that I can say it is they are the like raw material for good games which have been hooked up to which are being used as the, what's the best way to metaphor this? They are good games which have been hooked up to a like very manipulative money-making machine. And any part of the game any part of the good game which does not serve that money-making machine purpose is changed in order to better serve that money-making machine like purpose first and foremost, which compromises very heavily how good of games they can be. And so like, there's a degree to which like, yeah, like different genres are going to appeal to different people, and I think that that's totally like true to an extent. I also think that like any given one of these games is a shadow of the game that it actually could potentially be if it was not compromising itself so like having to compromise so very heavily. And that's not exclusive to gacha games. There are a lot of other games with other monetization models that they've done poorly enough that they fundamentally break and like hinder the game's ability to actually be the best version of itself. That is honestly very common. I give you the entire mobile platform where like a legit good game like that doesn't feel like it is compromised by that kind of thing feels like a rare gem, which is really sad because it did not have to be that way. And there are great mobile games out there in that wasteland. Like another example that's not gacha game, like launch version Diablo 3 launches with an in-game auction house that fundamentally compromises like and kind of breaks the appeal, like one of the core appeals of the entire game in a really rough way. They eventually entirely removed that game and re-engineered a lot about how it all works. And Diablo 3 is great fun now. Like, there's still a lot that you could criticize Diablo 3 for also, like, having its manipulative monetization and issues and such, and you'd be right, I think. But it is a much better version of itself. It is a much better game now than the version that once launched. That was very heavily compromised for, like, profit-seeking purposes. Not exclusively, but profit was definitely a strong factor there. Diablo 3 put its bar very low. I think so. Like, wait, but which bar very low? Oh, like the bar very low in terms of being a better game now than it started. Very true. Like, but I also like, I think of all the Diablo games, I feel like 3 actually might be my favorite one still, which is not, I don't think that's well, I don't know what the common fan consensus is, but I don't think that's the fan consensus generally. That's true. There is Diablo Immortal. So, like, Diablo Immortal, there you go. There's another great case. Which did come out after 3, yes, and is a much more predatory monetization engine that has a lot of good Diablo gameplay in there that is, like, a little bit, like, hamstrung by... and in its ability to be the best Diablo game it can be by the monetization structure of the game. Like, there's still lots to enjoy in there, in the same way that there's a lot to enjoy in this. Like, people who are playing Zenless Zone Zero are not just playing it because they are, like... because the gacha machine has grabbed them and they are just, like... zombie slaves to the thing now. Like, no. There's stuff to enjoy in here, and there's lots of people who enjoy this, like, kind of game while also, like, being very disciplined about not spending more money or time on it than they want to, or maybe even no money at all. That does not mean that I think that that the problems of the flaws of this structure stop being flaws. I think that they are still, but there's no like point in being super like reductive about it though in critiquing it. Or You're a fun design. Robots got clogs. Boy, you guys are saying a lot of words. Some of them are pretty good too, I bet, but I will not know. Mandatory side quests and whatnot. I wonder if I can make it to Act 3 before the stream ends. I'm not liking my odds. Are you? Sorry, I'm coming in like halfway through a chat conversation here, but like someone's saying, I still tend to agree with Loading Ready Run in Polygon about like Roblox gets shockingly little hate for how awful it actually is. There is a lot about how Roblox is run that is genuinely awful. I love how much like the kids who are into it are enjoying it and getting out of it, and how many like of the future the game designers of the future are coming out of Roblox and that environment. Like, that rules. And the folks running Roblox have a lot to answer for. Who did that super long documentary on Roblox? There might be multiple. The one I'm familiar with that I definitely would recommend is by the People Make Games YouTube channel. Which that is a like S-tier YouTube follow. Like, subscribe to that one. Go watch People Make Games. It is some of the best game journalism happening right now. And not just because game journalism's kind of been set on fire and burned to the ground. Even if it hadn't, this would still be some A+ game journalism. Yeah, it's started by Chris Bratt, who's formerly of Eurogamer, like from the game journalism scene. Also involves Quinns from formerly of, or maybe still of, I don't know if he's still with Shut Up and Sit Down. It involves a couple others too. Like, I think Chris Bratt's partner and I feel like at least one other person. They do a great job. Every video they put out has been like really interesting and fascinating, and the kind of core thesis of all of the stuff they cover and dig into is like kind of what the title is. People Make Games. It's like from an angle of the humanity of the creation of these things we love. They're like a lesser-known cousin of NoClip. Yes, exactly. They are very much that. With like slightly less of a documentary angle, a little bit more of like a journalism angle than a documentary angle, but similar level of quality and polished presentation. I would recommend both of them to anyone just as easily. Quinn's has stepped down from Shut Up and Sit Down. Okay, okay. I assume so. I've not been following Shut Up and Sit Down for a while, but I thought I was seeing less and less of him in the stuff they were putting out. While on the subject of creators and documentary, Archipel does cool interviews with Japanese creators of games, etc. Ooh, hang on, I'm typing that into a tab real fast so I can look that up later, because that sounds interesting. That sounds relevant to my interests. Oh, you just got recommended No Clip today for the first time? Ooh, I'm thrilled for you at how much very, very good video game development documentary you're going to get to enjoy. Hey! Nightstar Gamer, welcome. Thank you for the raid. Hello. We are playing Zenless Zone Zero in that we are kind of click spamming through a lot of dialogue trying to get to more game and scenes for footage reasons. But hello and welcome. How have I been? Pretty good. Busy and pretty worn out. I don't know how much longer I'll be streaming, honestly, but I want to get videos made faster. And here we are.
Are you here to inquire about public security? Thanks, I'll look to you.
Oh, am I not done talking to you? I'm not done talking to you. How have you been, Nightstar Gamer? How was your stream? Yes, that is what Officer Mew Mew sounds like in English. It is somewhat grating. Like, what if Teddy from Persona 4 was much more obnoxious sounding? And to the performer's credit, I think that's the assignment. I think they are delivering on what was asked. Hey, story's gonna continue. Huzzah! Or that same character just sounds like a washed-up old dude in Chinese. Because that's a pretty funny... Honestly, I would actually kind of love that if that was the angle they'd gone with the English version as well. Just sort of like an old, gruff, tired-sounding guy who doesn't want to be doing this. That's actually a way funnier version of that character. I like that idea.
Officers, it's good to see you again.
You too, managers.
Looks like a good attendance. The place is really hopping.
Thanks to everyone on 6th Street. They not only signed up for the seminar, they also helped spread the word to other districts.
I heard you'll be on stage with the inspector to answer questions from citizens, Zhu-Yuan. Belle has been itching to ask you some.
Come on. Go easy on me.
You don't know, do you?
Oh, revisiting Pokemon Blue, Nightstar.
Like
Good times. As one also revisiting a lot of Pokemon lately. Or, I guess in many cases, visiting old Pokemon games for the first time.
Something to report.
I can relate.
We've analyzed and located the exact coordinates of the places Maroon previously identified inside the Hollow. Please take a look at this.
Thanks.
I was also just informed that Inspector Bringer is on his way, and the media is waiting to get some pictures.
Looks like we should go meet him. We'll investigate these locations in a couple of days. Huh? Wait, there's something funny about these coordinates.
Something funny? What are you seeing?
Is something wrong?
Sorry, you two, but something is weird about this report. I need to talk to Juyuan for a moment, if you'll excuse us. You can go on in.
Maroon. He's the guy who was using the EMP emitter, right? I've got a bad feeling about this. Let's try to get close enough to hear what they're saying.
Okay. Sneak, 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 sneak.
Those coordinates are the spots Maroon's gang scouted some time ago, right? What do you think is off about them?
You remember the monster they found in that square a while back?
Of course, the remains are scheduled to be recovered this afternoon. But wait, what about it?
Man, I just remembered I get to
You think
record
these two
more,
cases are
another like Elden Ring session tomorrow.
I just realized every location
And I'm
Maroon
very
pointed
excited
out
about it.
lies on the route the evidence carrier is taking.
What?
So much neat stuff. I ran into so much neat stuff last session. I'm just excited to get back in.
Vehicle security systems.
And also there's a Noah Gervais video about the DLC now that I can't watch until I finish it, and that's... Oh, that's gonna kill me for weeks.
Maroon said his crew procured specialized containers for preserving etheric material. We assumed they were targeting vehicles transporting valuable ether resources for large companies. But here's the thing.
High praise when they're like, I'm so excited to play a different game. Yeah.
The same kind of
Fair.
vehicle.
Yeah, not what I meant,
The
but
evidence carrier could
also
be in
I guess that
danger.
is exactly what it sounded like, huh?
Let me see. Right here. There's a slight delay in the surveillance signal, but the carrier seems
No
headed toward
spoilers,
its
but I'm enjoying the
destination
DLC.
right now.
You haven't started yet, but you're excited to watch once you're done.
It
Oh yeah,
stopped
yeah,
for about
like
10 minutes somewhere in the
if you liked Elden
just
Ring,
15 minutes ago.
the DL like
10 minutes might not seem
this
like much,
DLC
but
is some of
if
the
someone's
best
lying
Elden
in wait
Ring.
with an EMP emitter,
Period. It
it'd be
is
enough for them to snatch
incredibly
the
good.
evidence.
As
We
with
need to
all
report this
FromSoft
right now.
DLC, the
I'll call it in.
the DLC expansion stuff is usually some of the best content that game has, and it remains true. It's so good.
On the carrier. Even if we report our suspicions, they won't immediately send someone. They'd follow protocol and do a remote analysis first.
You're right. And if they do that, it could already be too late.
Not only that, I'm worried about something else. The evidence recovery schedule was only decided recently, and the route inside the hollow is top secret. But according to Maroon, his gang had been scouting those locations for a while now.
Meaning, there might be a mole in public security.
Exactly. If we report our suspicions now, we might take
It does definitely feel like this needs an
I'd rather
editor.
head into the hollow myself.
There's this dialogue stuff.
That's a
I want so
huge
like
risk.
this is
You know that's against policy. They could take action
I'm
against
it's a little
us.
conspiratorial, so I'm not like sure that I actually believe it. I wonder if sometimes like the amount of dialogue and text and kind of verboseness in a lot of these games is to sort of
You should stay here.
it does sort of have the effect of making it feel like you are
Trust me to bring back the evidence safe and
experiencing more
sound. You have my word.
that there is a it makes the grind feel like a slightly smaller proportion of what you are doing in the game in terms of just like time spent in the long run. But I don't know if I entirely believe that actually being an intentional, more like
I'll leave the seminar
nefarious
to you.
intentional thing rather than just
Worshipping an undeserving deity is sycophancy. Failure to act when action
kind
is
of a
needed shows a lack of
convention
courage.
within this genre and a sort of
You said it
wordiness.
yourself. An officer needs to be sure they're doing the right thing.
The gacha games certainly don't have like
Because
a
of
monopoly
Inspector
on
Bringer, but not for praise or his approval.
games
I
that could
want to do for
use
others what he
an
did for
editor
me
with their
back then.
dialogue.
I want to be someone who protects people.
So you're going to
But that is also 100% true. Like
going
writing
to.
brief
That monster in the hollow is
and
anything but
efficiently
ordinary. We have
is
to
a lot harder
protect
than
the
writing
evidence.
long-winded.
And besides, if the inspector
And writing's
really
just hard
is
in
the
general.
same as he was back then, I'm sure he'll support our choice.
Take it from me, someone who spends 5 times longer writing any given script than it feels like it should take me.
Just like last time, we should try and help them any way we can.
Really feels like I should be faster at writing these things by now. If anything, I feel like I'm slower, but that might also just be because I'm slowly raising my standards for myself over time. Debatable whether that's a good thing. Does writing feel like more difficult than other kinds of art for me? Like, is animating way faster than the writing process, or is it kind of hard to compare? It is kind of hard to compare, but that is an interesting thought. Like, I think like different people are going to gravitate more naturally to different creative kinds of disciplines and arts and things, and feel better equipped at certain ones, right? Like, I am better at certain kinds of arts than others. Making a like video essay requires several different kind of artistic and creative disciplines all together, from like video editing to kind of vocal performance to writing to like just like creative assessment analysis, having a thing to say to begin with. Like, and writing is a stage of the process that is enjoyable, but always feels like it takes so much longer to actually get my thoughts out and clear and explain a thing in a way that I'm happy and satisfied with. To write it to a level of quality I'm satisfied with. But there's lots of parts of the process that are like making videos. There's a lot of tedious crafts in there, just like with animation. Animation's a very slow, tedious craft. I guess a lot of art and lots of crafts are pretty meticulous, tedious things when you get right down to it. A mission. A thing to do. Huzzah, let's get our team back together.
Let's move. Nothing to fear. The cunning hairs are here.
As an animator, do you watch the Blender conference from time to time? I don't. I don't really watch like any animation software or like industry conference stuff generally outside of the occasional GDC things, but I also am just not a Blender user.
Judging by our predictions, they probably have the evidence by now. Any ideas on how we're gonna get it back?
Here's what I'm thinking. To avoid raising suspicion, the suspects probably didn't damage the carrier's
I wouldn't be
electronic
surprised if I end up having to learn Blender someday.
We can check its driving record to pinpoint where exactly.
But adapting to new software is always a really annoying
They're bound to have left some traces
hurdle
behind.
to have to
The remains
get
are
through
bulky,
to do
so they
work.
can't move very quickly.
So
Therefore,
it's usually not a
figure
hurdle
out
I
where
seek
they
out
are.
until it's necessary.
Makes sense. Let's find the evidence carrier and see if our suspicions are right. I've picked up the carrier's signal. Let's go.
Zhu Yuan and Qing Yi are heading out to locate the evidence carrier.
Barry, do you know where the carrier is?
Oh, I almost missed it. Thank you for the 23 months, Iskar Jarek. Thank you very much. Almost 2 dang years, goodness.
We need to help them reach the evidence carrier quickly. I'm counting on you to find a route.
The evidence carrier signal is coming from over there.
Ugh, the mobile device here seems unusable.
Let me try adjusting the direction. Ugh, it's too heavy.
Val, something is blocking their way.
Master, the firing direction of the ejector nearby can be adjusted.
Oh,
All right, let's help them find a shortcut to save time.
different kind of puzzle, okay.
These switches can be used repeatedly. Think carefully about the direction.
Interesting. All right.
Huh? Did the device just move by itself?
Rotate again. Yeah, okay. And... nope. Try again. One more. There we go.
Works now.
Let's move. Something doesn't feel right.
Let's follow him.
Boil it all down, and all video game and all like mini games and video games are just pipe dream. Down at their core.
Master, high ether activity has been detected along the path to the evidence carrier's location.
Dig through enough layers. It's all pipe dream. Let's go. Really just can't get enough at how good this combat system looks. It's so very flashy. Just well done. All around. And yeah, the music's really fun too. I hope they release like a soundtrack officially at some point. They haven't yet, and I keep looking.
Carrier is nearby.
Jingyi, we should head over there now.
I will happily buy it. It's really fun music.
Yes, finally, the carrier. Let's check on its condition.
It looks fine on the outside. No signs of damage or being tampered with. Let's check inside.
We're doing this to protect the evidence, but messing with the carrier without permission will definitely require writing up a report. And probably a pay cut, too. Well, let's forget all that for now. Jingyi, help me unlock it. Huh?
Somewhat related, I've considered much of my programming in AAA games to have been plumbing work.
Seal is
Ooh.
untouched.
If you want to expound on that a little bit, I'd love to hear more. Oh, you are. So often you have data that needs to get from A to B within a giant game, and somebody's got to plumb it. That makes sense. It honestly makes sense that a lot of the engineering and programming work on a large AAA game would just be that core kind of structural basic stuff that's not necessarily super creative or fun, but none of it works without, like, if someone's not putting in that time building out those systems.
They got in cover. Idiot. They're from the criminal investigation.
Often it's been getting data between a server and a client, but even just within a client, you have systems that need to talk to each other.
You couldn't keep your cool for a little longer? Hey, relax. Our intel says it's just the two of them. They might have survived our ambush, but we can take them. Hurry up and deal with them. Officers go missing in the hollows every day. Get 'em, boys!
Hold on. Do you know
Ow.
the consequences of assaulting officers?
Save your breath. We're dealing with a group of desperados.
These are the consequences for assaulting this officer in particular. You've made a grave error in judgment.
The pleasure's all yours. One fell swoop.
Suppressor K-22! Maximum firepower!
Standing by.
Now.
You asked for it.
Cease and desist!
Hold again. These guys are tougher than I expected. And it sounds like they knew we were coming and set up an ambush near the
All of that explanation
What the heck is going...
about
How could they
the
have known we were going after the evidence?
sort of like just doing the A to B like plumbing work in the engineering of all these big games.
Run.
It's really just your silly interpretation of all the games are pipe dream, not being entirely inaccurate.
Warning.
I did not realize that was the destination you were getting at, but it's as a pipe, as like a as a punchline,
The officers should change direction
is actually very good.
to avoid direct confrontation with
I enjoyed it.
multiple armed individuals.
You hear that? There are multiple enemies in their current path heading toward them.
Barry, is there a way to divert the approaching enemies?
Master, I regret to inform you there are no electronic devices or controllable machines in the area.
It's too late. Look at the map. They're trapped. It's a dead end.
There's an ambush here too.
Get them!
Coming through.
They're closing in on us.
Okay, that is a lot of them. I was gonna say we could probably just fight all of them. Oh, we will. Good. This is what I wanted.
We've been surrounded. Stay calm.
They sure have some firepower. How many members did they deploy to
Goodness, she
deal
is
with us?
fast. Yeah.
Taking the shot.
This way. Okay.
Not right there!
Ow.
Won't be easy to get him off our tail. Let's face him head on. We'll run out of ammo if this continues. Flawless move. Suppressor K-22. Maximum firepower.
Thanks again for the raid, Nightstar Gamer.
Good.
And have a good evening.
We are stuck in a building and surrounded by enemies.
We have to get them out. Do something, Barry.
Master, I've detected several unstable spatial fissures near the officer's location. Such spatial rifts are challenging to label in standard carrot data, but if utilized, they could help the target evacuate from their current location.
Fairy may be able to locate the spatial rifts, but how do we tell Zhu Yuan and Qing Yi where to go?
I can safely tap into the officer's intercom within the hollow, Second Assistant.
But if we connect to their intercom, won't we be exposed?
If it doesn't expose our identity, I think it's worth the risk to save lives.
Question. Is the current objective to assist the two officers in leaving the current area, or
Not to try and sell you on paying for a gacha game or anything of the sort, but have you seen the new A-class character that's coming out in the next banner using a stun baton charge blade? I've not seen, so I've seen like, I think some like splash art for what, 1 or 2 of the new characters looks like. I don't know if I've seen the charge blade one. Excellent seeing the utterly absurd charge blade weapon type expanding out into more and more places though, because I'm here for it.
Bell has to personally guide them as a proxy?
Affirmative.
And I do appreciate that they give you like the opportunity to trial test out these characters without getting them in the gacha machine, or like have little mission quests like this where you can play them for a short little bit just to see them in action.
We shouldn't hesitate, Wise. Juyuan and Xingyi are good people. Despite the risks, I'd regret it for the rest of my life if I chose to.
And I really do
spend
like.
all
I'm
the
gonna have criticisms in the video itself, but I do love that they are going harder on animation this time. They're using, they're investing more in animation on Zenless as part of like as one of the key selling points of it. And I love seeing that.
This isn't good. They've totally surrounded us. Unless we can somehow distract them, we're stuck here. If we can't think of a way out, I'll go distract them so you have a chance to get away.
What? What are you talking about?
It was me who insisted we investigate inside the hollow. You wouldn't even be in
Oh, neat.
danger
There's
right now.
places you can try them both out in Chapter 3, and they have roles in the next story mission. That's great. So yeah, I'm glad they're continuing that,
Even if
because
my body gets destroyed. But you don't have that luxury.
I've only unlocked like half the characters in this game, and most of them are way too low level to be of any actual use
For this mess, it should be me.
without
Besides,
many
your
weeks of
physical
grinding.
abilities
But
are much better than mine.
I've
If
loved
one
that
of
I
us has to make
am
a
at
run
least
for
able to
it,
get a
we'd have
taste
a much better chance at
in a couple
surviving.
of missions,
Now's
trying
not
them
the
out
time to argue.
for a little test run. That's been fun.
Exactly. Now's not the time to argue.
Who's there?
Wait, it's coming from the intercom. Someone hacked into our encrypted frequency. But how?
Instead of arguing about who should be the bait, how about I offer a solution that works for you both?
Who are you? Why should we trust you?
I can't convince you to trust me. I'm a proxy, not exactly someone who should normally be talking with you. But while I may be a proxy, I have a conscience. I can't turn a blind eye while you're in danger.
A proxy?
All right. So, what's the plan?
I'll create an opportunity for you.
Hey, we found another
Follow
cinematic.
my
Huzzah.
instructions.
But what about the enemy?
Leave that to me. Now, go!
They're getting away!
What now?
Straight ahead. Jump into the fissure.
The fissure!
What? A spatial fissure! After them! There they are!
They're chasing us. There's another fissure straight ahead.
They're closing in. They'll catch us at this rate.
I have a plan. It might be risky, but I'm sure you can do it.
We're saved.
Well, hero, now that you've saved us, do you plan on making an appearance?
All right. We can finally talk.
You're a Bangbu from Balabog. Wait, no. There's no way an ordinary Bangbu would be as capable as you.
As much critique as I'll have in the video itself, like,
So,
the action sequences are still really fun.
Qingyi, have you heard the rumors about a legendary proxy who doesn't enter the hollows themselves, but manages real-time communication from the outside?
Faithin.
That's me. I'm Faithin.
So you were already watching us when we received the report from Belobog.
Yeah, I was helping Belobog Industries retrieve something lost, but I ended up running into that monster deep in the hollow. As you've already guessed, I think there's something unusual about that monster too. There's some kind of conspiracy behind it, and it's connected to what I've been chasing.
In other words, you're helping us so Hand gets the evidence and can uncover the truth about the monster.
Exactly, and it's still not too late to get the evidence back.
According to page 173 of the Public Security Officer's Manual, in urgent situations, officers have the right to recruit assistants without verifying their identities.
So you're suggesting...
We share a common goal. Let's work together and get that evidence back.
Deal. Now's not the time for more questions. We accept your assistance, Faithin. But as you've seen, the enemy is well prepared and has the advantage in numbers.
Don't worry, leave it to me. Since we lack the manpower, we'll use the hollow against them. That's my specialty.
Okay.
We've arrived at the evidence carrier area.
Ooh, gimme.
Loading
What?
environment data. Master, I have found a discarded toolbox up ahead.
I feel like they could stand to look at
could
Platinum's
contain
catalog.
relevant
Like, they have a
clues
lot
to
of
the
experience
case.
flipping between
Your
cutscenes that
attention
have
is
all the budget
needed.
and then a bunch that have none. But judging from Genshin Impact's animation, I feel like they are well aware of Platinum. They are well aware of Platinum's catalog of work. Platinum is pretty good at finding ways to like be really efficient with story scene stuff in between the bigger cutscenes. And I think that like MiHoYo has been in various ways too. I don't know if all their solutions this time work, though I do kind of enjoy. I like how creative they've been with how they try to find efficiencies and scope management around like this stuff. I don't know if all of it works necessarily, but they tried a lot of new, like, neat stuff.
The display device has been used to show the mind space.
Collected clues will be stored in the memory zone. Once the adjacent clues are found, the question will become apparent.
This is quite different.
We don't have enough clues right now. Let's go back and look for more.
Yeah, I do like how it's how much they mix up the gameplay kind of mechanics in this little space here. They do a lot with it.
Master, there are footprints on the floor here that have been deliberately concealed. The clue has been stored in the mind space. Master, I have detected
Let us gather the
varying degrees
evidence.
of defects and damages to the electronic devices in this area. The clue has been stored in the mind space.
Yeah, when I first saw this sort of weird like 2D TV screens presentation, I did not expect that they were going to be so kind of playful and inventive with how many different little kinds of mini games and experiences they built into it. And it has been fun seeing a bunch of that like creative whimsy. That ought to work. There we go. Yes, yes.
Master, there is a small forklift parked on one side of the scene.
Okay.
Decoding in progress. Decoding completed. Now playing the previously saved recording.
Didn't boss ask you to get something sturdy? You brought a forklift? The wind can blow through on all sides! What does it matter as long as it moves? Who cares if it's a little windy? Whatever. Just get this thing moving already. The evidence carrier will be here soon. Let me check Big Head's carrot data.
There's a new question in mind space.
What else we got? Don't know if I can get up there right now. Maybe if we go down here. Hey, that'll work.
Master, I have found a collapsed bamboo.
Hey, thanks for the 23 months, Alchemist 80. Much appreciated.
There's a new question in mind space. A question has arisen from the two collected clues. Master, do you want to solve it?
See, like, this is kind of silly, but cute and playful, and like they're just playing around with the the kind of play and experience you're using this space for so much.
Indeed. Judging from the marks left behind, the forklift.
Not
was
getting
likely
super
the
in depth
culprit's
with any
means
of them, at least not so
transportation
far,
to the
but
scene.
that's kind of okay. Like, just the variety on its own is pretty welcome. Just lots of novelty.
After all the questions are answered, the truth will reveal itself.
Let's see.
Negative. No available spatial fissures in the vicinity.
Okay, then what about...
Affirmative.
Okay.
It is highly likely that the culprit's left on foot.
Right. Considering all the clues, this conclusion makes sense.
The key question has emerged.
And for what is fundamentally, like, at its core, a very simple 2D navigation puzzle type thing, like, boy, they've really gone way overboard with, like, the presentation of it and making that actually, like, look this polished and visually dynamic.
The culprit's bamboo is broken, so I bet they can't find the way out. You're right. Not only are the culprits carrying the evidence, but they also don't have a carrot. Hiding nearby while they wait for their accomplices would be the wisest choice.
Master, all the clues have been gathered. The case replay is now available.
We're here. Hurry up. The evidence carrier will be here soon. Stay close to me, Big Head. We'll bolt after taking the evidence. The evidence carrier's here.
You gotta admit, never seen Zenless before the stream, and this is not what you expected at all. I imagine, yeah, you're not alone in that. I think most people who started playing the game themselves were a little surprised to see how much of the game is actually this. And I kind of agree, Smug Rainbow Pony, like, despite some of the nice things I've been saying about, like, the presentation here and the novelty and stuff like that, it's... how to say it? They are very easy generally, and there are a lot of very, like, start-stop. Yeah, the narration interrupts all the time. There's lots of stuff that kind of, like, constantly interrupts your flow of puzzle solving or navigating or whatever you're doing. So, like, as a play experience, it's always just kind of like okay at best. I think maybe it's just when sitting through a lot of this game, I appreciate what novelty I can find. Even if it is only kind of okay.
Let's take note of it when we get back to reality.
Even the forklift isn't working now. The EMP is that powerful? The bamboo's done for, and the forklift is kaput. Now what? Don't panic. Let's grab the evidence first. We'll just have someone pick us up later. We've got what we needed. Let's go this way.
Master, the culprits are whispering to each other in front of the door.
Look, set a password for this door and lock it. Then we don't have to worry about anyone following us. That's brilliant. Let's use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Relatable.
That's a dumb password. Let me set it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That'll throw him off. I agree. That was a pretty good little joke.
Master, you can return to the real world to investigate now.
I'm gonna.
We figured out the exit used by the culprits. Let's go check it out.
It's easy to get kind of numb to it just by, like, as you're just kind of trying to get through the game and all that, but, like, boy, there is so much visual polish to, like, audio-visual polish to all of this stuff, to every part of this game. I can't imagine how long it took getting any individual, like, element or part of this.
But how are we supposed to get through this area?
Master,
as a
I found a
well-tuned,
surveillance camera corrupted by
as consistently polished looking and stylish as they've managed to here. Like, I think it's ultimately a fairly mediocre at best video game with some very good parts in it. But I will say, like, it's got visual polish and style, like, are on a level far beyond what a lot of better games have.
The culprit's route has been recorded. Once you return to reality, I'll guide you in real time. Uncollected hollow. The case replay is virtual, so you...
The culprits exited from here.
Maybe I better... Oh, yeah, we'll exit. Okay.
I've highlighted the culprit's route for you.
Thank you.
You're a godsend, Fairy. Now, let's follow that route.
I hope you're not relying upon me to memorize this, because I am not. Excellent. Good.
There's a group of abandoned buildings ahead.
Master, I found a surveillance camera corrupted by the hollow. Some of the data inside is still intact.
It is true. It is pretty bonkers thinking, like, that you can download a game that looks like this on your phone for free in this day and age. Just as like a sign of where, like, technology and game development scale have, like, gone in a couple of decades. It's really bonkers.
Many walls here have cracked.
The case replay is virtual, so you cannot pick anything up.
I must say, they're pretty good at hiding.
Any one of us as kids seeing, like, if we could see into the future and see the how games would look, how handheld games would look in the future, we would lose our minds a little bit.
The replay is over.
I could do a fight, but let's just get to the end. I do need to wrap the stream up, and I'd love to at least get to the end of this little mission. Sure. I guess maybe I do have to fight you.
Who's there?
Public security, put your hands up.
Here we go. One more little combat stretch.
You did well.
An opening.
I would definitely love to be able to play a version of this free of all the gacha stuff, or to some other game with this similar looking and playing combat that did not have kind of the more grindy and gacha-y elements kind of intruding on the fun of this experience, because I am enjoying this stuff a lot. And the folks working on this combat system and the animation and the presentation of all of it, boy, they've done some stellar work.
Oh, rats. This pump sec. Clear
This is called striking when the enemy is unprepared.
Take them down and retrieve the evidence. You asked for it. What's this? Let me give you a little treat. Like this.
Robot.
Following orders. Pinch your maneuver. The pleasure's all yours.
An opening!
This robot's having a day.
Face the consequences.
So a modern Devil May Cry. It's kind of Devil May Cry, but also not. Like it's.
The stolen evidence?
Yeah.
It feels like, and I'm not a expert at either of these, but it feels like if there was a midpoint right in between Devil May Cry and Kingdom Hearts action combat type thing, that kind of feels like where this lives.
There's an exit nearby. I'll take you there.
Or actually, it feels, I think actually Nier Automata is probably the closest to what it feels like, with a different visual look and a cool like character switching mechanic. Like take Nier Automata combat that is also very like dodge, parry, counter focused, and make like a 3-character team comp sort of system out of it, and you're basically there. Which Genshin kind of is, but not quite. Like not with this much like. Genshin's feels pretty tangibly different.
Chingy, we're officers.
A little more like a little closer to
Anyway.
Zelda combat, which makes complete sense. Just a different genre of game, different thing they're going for.
You too, for uncovering the threat to the evidence vehicle and fearlessly going into the hollow to protect it.
Yeah, Bayonetta plus party mechanics is also that. Any platinum action, any platinum character action game
Now that Phaethon's gone, let's
with
hurry
team
up
comp
and get this
mechanics,
evidence out
and
of
you're basically there.
Let's go. Wait a minute.
And their execution on that in this, the team comp thing and the character switching and the style of character switching, like
Doesn't that sound suspicious?
doing a perfect parry counter, except you can do that as a dodge, but you can also do it as just a teammate swap.
Phaethon would have realized the evidence
And have
had
that big
been
flashy
switched, and upon seeing us,
counterattack
assumed we
is
were there to investigate.
feels very good every
It
time.
sounded like Phaethon knew what happened outside the Hollow too.
How unexpected. It seems
Oh, thank you for the
Phaethon
gifted
attended
sub
the
there,
seminar today.
Buffy McBuffalo. And also, good name. Hey, we did it. Yeah, that is what it is. Like they pulled that like trio team mechanic character swap thing from like 2D fighters and integrated it into like a character action combat in a really effective way. In a way I don't think I've seen another game do. And they did it really well. So like they deserve all the applause for the execution on that idea. Works real good.
Huh? Public security again?
Well,
And yeah, different agents have different parries and kinds of parries, and different agents also, like their movesets will change depending on who, like, if you put,
quite a while before we see them again.
like certain agents will have synergies with other ones where they're like,
You're right.
they'll actually involve each other in their base movesets if they're in the same trio. Like there's so much depth in here that's really cool. It's so good.
Collector's edition of that
All the
popular
combat
pub set
gameplay animation stuff is like, I have nothing but praise.
That's the one where the main character goes against his superior and chooses to protect the citizens, right? Good choice.
They're going to be leaving soon. Let's get going.
Okay. I should definitely stop now. I've got other playframe work things to do. Also, I'm hungry. Two very good reasons to start winding down. Thank you all for joining me, though. Sorry again that it was not more Pokemon. We will get back to more Pokemon. The Pokemon will continue. I just wasn't able to stream as long today anyway. Figured this would be efficient. Darn, I want this video to get made faster. I want all videos to get made faster. But yeah, I really appreciate y'all joining me. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the subs and resubs, the raid, all of it. And speaking of raids, who's on? Ooh, Dan is just literally starting. Fantastic. Let's go say hi to Dan. I think he's like just literally started. Let's go say hello. I will see you all next week for more Pokemons. Bye!